Okay, so we actually made it to the second episode of our, now we can say it, Fan Theory podcast. A much controversial name, but I assume it stuck. I think it was forcefully. There wasn't really
we didn't have an option.
A democratic
I
decision.
think Niven just picked the name and we're not happy, but we move on.
It'll be one of those, like, one day it'll be like, it'll be like the Mercedes, the BMW. It'll be a name that sticks. And
Yeah, he's paying for all the equipment, so we gave him that. That's
Actually,
our
we split-
contribution.
Wait, haven't you guys paid me back for the equipment? Okay.
I just remember a deduction somewhere.
Okay, no. So finally, I think at least that is one big change from the first episode. We have a name now, and we have a channel on YouTube. So it's like we had said in the first episode. It's
Please
just
like,
us.
share, and subscribe.
We're supposed to do it at the end of the podcast, but you can do it now. You can do plugs. You can say it. Yeah, so we have the channel on YouTube, and it's just we pick certain topics. We try and do it every 2 weeks, so we pick certain topics we can discuss, and we give our opinions. And if anyone enjoys that, then great. And that's basically it. So even today we actually, our topic of discussion is something that's been a topic of discussion for the last few years, ever since it's been brought into the Premier League, and that is VAR. And I think, as everyone knows, we're Liverpool fans. So as Liverpool fans, I think we will have a bit to say about VAR and how it's affected the league this season. But so we decided today we'd spend, probably most of the episode speaking about VAR. So I think I'll open it up to you, Rehan. I know how we sit here right now, like we were saying before the podcast started. Possibly, the league could come down to an error by VAR. Assuming it does. Say it comes down to the title, last game of the season, we're same points as Arsenal or City, and they beat us on goal difference, or something like that happens, or they pip us to the league by a point, and we had a better goal difference, and technically we lost a point against Spurs because of VAR, because we lost that game. So technically, if Diaz's goal counted, let's say we would have drawn 2-2, because the game ended 2-1, and we lost a point. So I think starting from there, we can use that as a starting point then to go into the other discussions about VAR. But in a situation like that, how do you think the club will react if it does come to that?
Look, it's a tough one. I mean, overall, VR has had a positive impact on the league.
100%.
So we were just talking about it off air, where the stats have improved drastically, moved significantly towards the good rather than the bad. But fans of certain clubs will always feel that they are targeted, rather, or they'll feel aggrieved by certain decisions not going their way.
I think our club's one of those.
Yeah, our club's one of those. We were just checking the stats before we came. Yeah, now we're checking stats after the first episode. Niven had to do some edits to correct our mistakes.
Don't say our.
We are a team here. Whatever we do is all three of us. So
This is the Anthony about you.
Yeah, we were checking the stats, and look, Liverpool's lost. They would have been better off 3 points. I mean, they've lost 3 points because of decisions that haven't gone their way, and City have gained 3 points. So that's a 6-pointer. You're looking at a turnaround of about 6 points. I think Arsenal are sitting with about 1.
+2 or +1, yeah.
+1 or +2, somewhere there. Having said that, my only issue with VAR is the subjectivity of the interpretation. There's certain decisions that are very, very simple and straightforward for them to get, like, you're not going to have that whole Thierry Henry handball incident, or Suarez biting somebody.
No, but Suarez was punished. But I guess it would be an immediate punishment.
That was retrospective. But then again, I don't know if it was Gibbs and Chamberlain where they missed
the wrong
mistake.
guy got red
wrong
carded.
guy got. So
that stuff
I
won't
think
happen.
that stuff won't happen. But it's not a black and white thing like it is with goal line technology, because goal line technology has improved the game
100%.
drastically.
Oh, yeah.
It's black and white. It's either it's a goal or it's not a goal. With the whole VAR thing, it's subjective to how somebody interprets it. So if the referee feels something and the guy in the box feels something else, it's difficult. First of all, for him, he feels that he might overpower the referee, and in his mind he's like, should I, shouldn't I? So that's one. And also, we all interpret things differently. Like the City, the penalty, Doku versus McAllister. Was it? Yeah. Anywhere else on the pitch, that's a foul.
So then it's a penalty.
That's what it is. But you see, because it's the D box and
But that shouldn't change anything,
that's
right?
exactly the point. This is why VAR is subjective, and I feel that there has to be a certain thing. Even with handball, what is handball? How close do you have to be to the ball? How far? Because we've seen some that are given.
Yeah. Look, I agree when it comes to handball, it is subjective. So you see here, so this is where, just to add on, okay, regarding that goal that was disallowed by Diaz's goal in the Spurs game, when PGMOL came out after that, they said their reasoning, they accepted it was a mistake, but their reasoning was it was a significant human error. Now, if you're going to say it's a significant human error, even when using technology, then it makes no sense.
It defeats the purpose.
It defeats the purpose. I mean,
That's exactly what.
Look. Okay, we heard the audios and we saw what was happening, and there was a miscommunication, but it could potentially cost a club a title, and you can't. I mean, they could have blown the whistle. Yes, there was a few plays that had gone on, and I think the ball had gone out a few times, so it was difficult. But I don't think anyone would have faulted the referee if VAR spoke to him in his ear and said, "Look, we've made a mistake. You can stop the game now." And if the ref stopped the game and brought it back, because nothing significant had happened in that time, the ball went out for a throw-in, and there was just a few passes. If he had blown the whistle and brought it back, I don't think anyone would have faulted him. If anything, they would have been given more credit for at least, correcting a mistake, But two wrongs don't make a right. And this is where, at the end of the day, they brush it under the carpet. It's gone. The conversation's over. The club's lost. We've lost potentially a point. Everyone moved on, And it's quite pathetic now how after every mistake, is it Howard Webb, whoever comes out and they explain it and they give their reasons, and they'll have this whole half an hour
That's why I think there's a mistake with VAR, because you can't have it doesn't feel right to have the same referees that are reffing games one week, then the next week are in
the VAR booth.
In the booth, because then, like, for however many years, the refs have been a group, and they kind of stick up for each other and stand up for each other. So there's this thing.
No one's held accountable.
No, there's that accountability is not there. So it's like there's no segregation of duties, I suppose. It's like you have the same guys checking the same guy's work, and it doesn't make sense. Like have a completely different body that runs VAR and have referees, because the guys that made the mistake were off duty for like a week or two, and then came back on
exactly.
like nothing happened.
That's their punishment.
But
right?
like we were talking earlier, like imagine this was like the championship game to come into the Premier League. The playoff final. There's 200 million pounds at stake, and someone's made this significant human error, and that's it.
Yeah,
your season's gone. You're done. You're still in the championship as opposed to the Premier League.
And they're not like you said, they get a slap on the wrist and it's done. Everyone moves on. This is why. Okay, so.
And I think that's the same reason why you don't have a lot of decisions overturned.
Because they're scared.
Because it's like if
they know each other.
They know each other.
If
I knew you and you made a decision. And
I wouldn't want you to look bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't want you to look bad. But if I didn't know this, if this was some random person sitting somewhere else, and I saw it, I'd be like, "That's not right." Go back and look at it.
But with the Man City, the Doku foul at the end. surely they could have asked him to go to the screen and take a look at it. I mean,
That's the least they could have done.
That's the least they could have done. Who would have blamed? Would anyone have actually said anything negative about VAR if VAR said, look, just go to the screen? Fine, you looked at it in real time, you didn't feel it was a penalty. We here in the booth feel there could be, a bit of a doubt. And so just go take a look at it.
So you know what I think? Have you seen how they did in the NFL? They basically bring out a screen
Right.
onto the field, and the ref standing there, and then they're actually talking. So I think like how they have it in the NFL.
Who's talking?
The
too?
ref and the
Officials in the booth.
Yeah.
No, but they have that here. It's just that it's in the ear. No one else.
They just don't hear it, and I think that having that conversation made live creates a lot of accountability. It takes the subjectivity of the decision still there, but it gives people an understanding of why
the ref made
that decision, as opposed to being angry for the next 30, 45 minutes, and then maybe you see a post or you see Howard Webb or Dermot Gallagher come out and talk about it like an hour later on the after show.
Yeah. No, and that's another thing. Like I always said, we always feel refereeing must be a difficult job. I assume it's very tough to make calls in real time. It's a quick game, and the game's much quicker now than it was 10 years ago. So it must be a lot harder to do that job. But surely when there's so much at stake, you have to be held accountable for the decisions you make. And I don't think referees are punished enough, because I think if referees are punished a bit more, if they're held accountable a bit more for their decisions, I think they would think about it before making a bad decision. Right now, what's the worst that can happen? They never questioned. A referee never has to come out after a game and do an interview or explain himself. Never.
I think what people need to understand also is that these are business houses. I mean, the clubs, the football clubs, right? So a lot of people's livelihood depends on these football houses. So like Kut said, let's say somebody is relegated. Yeah, winning the league by 1 point is not, coming second is not as bad as not getting into the championship. Then you find next year the Premier League rather, sorry, and then next year you find your all your top players are gone and you're
changes everything.
Yeah, you basically struggling to survive because every year is different in football. No, there's no formula for success that it's guaranteed over a period of. So I think. People need to, like you said, be held accountable to say, okay, you've made a wrong decision, and because of this, it's costed the club X amount of money, or it's costed the club points or something like that, and maybe then these things will become better. Like we watch the IPL now. I mean, in cricket, when they use the DRS system, it's all automated. There's no human touch to it. I mean, they've got three ways of checking. So if they're doing an LBW thing, right? They just do that.
Where the ball pitches,
the line.
Pitching in line.
The rules are clear. The rules are clear. Pitching in line, impact, hitting the
wickets.
No gray areas. There's no gray areas.
Well, the only gray areas umpires call.
And they've got ultra edge. They've got ultra edge to make sure that there's no nick on the back. The umpire's call I understand, because then you are giving the authority to the umpire to say, you've made a call.
He needs some value.
He needs some value. So, fine. I mean, that's
close
probably
call.
Close call.
It's where the subjective nature of
even
the
there,
cricket
it's clear. Even there, it's very clear that if it's umpire's call, whatever the umpire gave, whether he gave out or he didn't give out, it stays. So, yes, it can be subjective to us, the fans on the outside, to say, it just flicked the bail. But when you look at it from the umpire's point of view or from the rules, if the umpire said not out, and I've never seen a decision being overturned by the umpire, because once he's given his decision, what he saw, what he feels, and that's unless it's completely completely the other way where he's convinced, then it changes. I think in football also, bringing technology, that's the whole idea. Like we said, yes, it's moved, it's come a long way from
I think the
where
issue
we were.
The issue with football is that it hadn't had the same impact like in cricket or
rugby,
the TMO officials with rugby or Hawkeye with tennis.
Hawkeye changed tennis so it's improved it
It's
so
improved it
much.
so much.
Yeah.
Like Federer didn't like it at all
Initially.
when it came,
Yeah.
but he saw the value in
Yeah.
it at the end.
I mean,
But
this
like-
is exactly what technology needs to
Yeah.
do for a sport. It needs to make it better.
And in football,
It
there's-
has improved it, no doubt.
It's helped. Goal line technology is awesome.
Yeah.
Offside
It
is
has helped.
is good.
Yeah.
It's just that the process behind it is just
Too long.
It's
The
too
lines
long.
drawn-
and
the lines drawn like crazy.
drawing
No, but
and
that's
all this.
because the Premier League uses that ancient technology.
Yeah.
Champions
But I
League is much
think,
quicker.
I think next season they're trying to automate it.
Yeah, like in Champions League,
yeah.
it's much quicker. Premier League is still a bit behind.
So it should be better. But I think when it comes to still the red cards and the handballs in the box and just decisions made in the box, it feels like technology should have helped there. But maybe there's decisions that have gone right, 100%.
There are.
But,
We never
yeah.
talk about.
But
I mean,
it feels like even though there are decisions that there's still decisions that go wrong with the technology there, and I think that's increased now with VAR coming in, probably
Yeah.
because we expect more from the technology and the officials more than anything.
Yeah.
I don't think the technologies let anyone down. It's actually the officials.
it's the people behind it.
people
Yeah,
behind
it
the
is.
That's
technology.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's the interpretation of
Yeah.
of the law, and everybody's got a different opinion about
Yeah.
things. I mean, look, maybe because we're Liverpool fans, we'll talk about all the decisions that went against us.
Yeah.
No, but like, and this is, it's just a general
Yeah.
conversation. That's how people look at it. This is the subjectivity that they got to take out from the thing, and they have
But
to
you
make
can never
it.
take that out of
Yeah, but
football.
you see, it's costing teams points. It's costing managers their jobs. It's costing
yes.
finances,
The
and so on and so
consequences
forth. The
are
consequences because they're playing at the highest level.
I agree.
There's a lot of money here.
So I look back at that. Do you remember the Barca versus Chelsea game? The one where
Ronaldinho.
where they scored it, but like Chelsea had like 5 or 6
Drogba,
penalty appeals,
Drogba.
and they lost their minds
Yeah.
at the end.
And they were complaining about the
yeah,
referee.
the-
And they were,
the
and they were
ref and all that, yeah.
they were complaining about the ref. And if VAR was in there,
Chelsea would have probably gone through.
well,
Definitely.
it's
Definitely.
all those calls were subjective.
Yeah, but you see, there's some that are clear.
Like I think Drogba should have had a penalty,
Yeah,
or there was something
look,
that was like,
They would have probably been
yeah.
2 or 3 pens in there, probably.
for
But
sure.
like when you bring this thing of the referee has to have made a clear and obvious error, and it's subjective and all that kind of stuff. Like there was a comment of someone made that that the VAR isn't meant to re-referee the game. I think VAR is there to make sure that the right decision is made for the game. And if that means re-refereeing it, then it should be
Exactly. This is the point that
Yeah.
we're saying. Like, look at the no ball calls, for example, right? In cricket, I'll give you an example. There have been times when everything is done. Like I think it was the hundreds final. If you remember the hundreds final, they bowled a ball. They needed 3 or 4 of the last ball or something like that. They missed it, and the guy got bowled. These guys ran celebrating. They did the fireworks, and everything was done. And then the umpire called for a no ball because it was picked up on the camera. The umpire didn't pick up the no ball.
Right.
It was picked up on the
But
camera.
they brought it back.
They brought the whole thing back, and then the losing team ended up winning it.
Oh, so the correct
The
at
correct,
the end,
correct decision
correct
was
thing
made.
happened. But look, you were going to give somebody
Yeah.
the trophy
Yeah.
based on an error, and the system corrected it. The umpire,
Yeah.
because these guys ran off celebrating.
naturally, like you would,
They got a wicket. They ran off celebrating. Then they were
Yeah.
called back to say it's a no ball, and they had to
Yeah.
replay the ball, and whatever happened.
Bowler must have felt shit.
I'm worried about the fireworks and the money because they blew everything. And then the new team won, and they're like, okay, now we've run out of fireworks. But the point is, like you said, if it has to be re-refereed, what's the guarantee that the referee hasn't made an obvious error? Because this is what it is. It's about taking out
Very
the errors.
simple. It's about
simple.
improving the game. That's
Red
it.
cards. When you look at them in slow motion, all of them look bad. All of them. I have not seen one.
100%.
I have not seen one that looks.
Yeah.
This could have been better. They all look bad.
No, anything in slow motion just looks bad.
That's exactly my point.
But
Even
they're
penalties.
not supposed to see a red card incident in slow motion.
That's what it is. But
has to be in real time.
referees make decisions based on how it is in slow motion.
Yeah.
The
But
idea is
VAR plays that for them.
that's the point. What it would be
the
for me
officials.
is
Again, it's the
where do you hit the ball? I mean, has the player connected with the other player? If it's above a certain height, red card.
Yeah.
If it's below, if its studs are not showing, those simple rules that we all play.
Yeah.
But when you see it in slow motion, you can see the ankle twist and you can see the.
I'll give you, like you said, you've made a very good point. We always talk about the Curtis Jones red card against Spurs, right? His foot went off the ball, off the top of the ball, and went and had an impact on the Spurs player, and the ref gave a yellow, and VAR changed it to a red. Okay, when we talk about the game, which game was it where Gravenberch was tackled and got injured? I think that was a Carabao Cup final.
Yeah,
against Chelsea.
Carabao.
Yeah. If you watch that tackle in slow motion, that's a red card.
Yeah.
If you slow it down and you look at that tackle, you would give him a red card because he went straight in for the ankle. But when you watch in real time, it wasn't a dangerous tackle. He I think he had touched the ball a bit, but when you slow it down, it's a clean red card. So now the thing is,
I would have given it yellow, but I think it's the inconsistency there.
Exactly, it's the inconsistency.
If you're gonna stop the ball, if you're gonna stop the play to look at a foul like this, and then you actually a foul wasn't given, but you inspect that, like VAR did check it.
Yeah.
And they checked on both occasions, and the decisions were very different when the tackles were pretty much the same.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Like when a goal is scored, the VAR team in the booth, they check the play. They bring the play back and they check if maybe a few minutes and stuff, and they check if everything is okay. There was no foul in the build-up and so on and so forth. Be it 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 4 minutes, as long as the ball hasn't gone out of play, they check all of that. So coming back to that Spurs thing, they could have done it. They had so much time to
call it back.
Call it back and check.
We would have actually respected them a bit more.
The excuse was ridiculous to say the play had gone so far
it was not in their hands.
It was not in their hands.
When you listen to the audio, it was literally probably like 10 seconds or 15 seconds after they set play on.
No one would have faulted the referee for stopping the game.
This is why I'm saying that some of these guys, even in the VR booth, they work together. They maybe.
Like you said.
Yeah, there's no...
No, but there are no repercussions. They don't face the consequences. Like he said, they were kicked out of the VAR booth for a week. They probably weren't... So they were sitting at home for 1 week without any duty for the week. And then they're back in it after 2 weeks or a week or two. That's the punishment, Whereas, man, a player gets a red card, he's banned for 3 games. A coach gets a red card, he's out for 2 games or 3. I mean, it's so much worse. Whereas referees can make any ridiculous call. I am not saying their job's easy. It's a tough job, but because there's so much at stake, you also have to be held accountable. And I think coming back to it, I think if referees were given harsher punishments, I think they'd make better calls. I think they'd actually be more accountable.
I think yeah, fine. The referees can be given hard, but I think the technology has to be more objective. I think they should leave less to the humans. Referees. Yeah, and that's the whole point, isn't it? Look, we've come.
Well, you mean they've got to automate it more?
Yeah, they've got to automate it
but
more.
But you can't automate
leave less to interpretation.
No, I mean, or maybe the rule must be clear or something like that.
Boot above a certain height. If a boot hits,
like how we used to play. Handball is handball. Whether your hand is here, or whatever. Yeah. It was.
That's
handball.
Exactly what we used to go through on Mondays.
We used to spend.
That's the clear rule now with an attacking play in the box. If it hits the hand, so if your hand is here and it hits it, and then you go and knock it in, it's a foul.
It's a handball.
So that's how they do it with like fouls on the attacking play, but then
not defensive.
On the defensive side. The ball was like his hand was in a natural position.
Yeah. Like, I mean that handball for Odegaard against Salah, that's a handball. That's a handball all day long because you cannot have your hands this
on
low
the ground and say it's natural position.
It's not natural. It's like this.
He was on the floor.
He was on the floor. That's as good as
that changes a game.
It does. It was 1-1. I think we were losing 1-0 or something. No, we were losing 1-0. I think at the time, and then I mean, look. That's 1 point there, 1 point at
this
at
is
Spurs,
exactly what we're saying.
And maybe another couple at couple at City at home. It makes a
That
huge
Doku
difference.
penalty would have given us the win. If we scored the penalty,
and
we would
same
have won
thing.
that game.
Let's assume it was 1-1 at Arsenal and that thing happened, or it was 1-0. We would have
Changes
scored.
the game.
It changes the game, and
Yeah.
this
the
is what I'm
momentum
saying.
changes.
Yeah.
The momentum changes, everything changes,
Yeah.
and
But
it's not only for Liverpool or we sit here talking about from it about it
Yeah,
from a
because,
Liverpool perspective, but
we
even
watch
other
more
clubs. I
games.
mean,
Yeah.
look,
Every club has
every
had
club has had
an issue.
Brother, we
I've
said
had this
we
issue.
looked at the stats. Sheffield United, Sheffield United, and Nottingham, and Wolves.
-3.
Yeah, Wolves fine may survive. Sheffield could go down, and if they were given bad calls, technically if maybe 3 points can keep them up. Maybe if come the end of the season.
It's a bit late for that now.
No,
they're
I'm
going
just
down.
assuming,
No,
yeah,
I
you
understand
know?
what I understand what you're
Yeah,
saying.
they're probably going down with much bigger than a 3-point gap.
But it just affects the morale in the team. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you feel you're doing so well, you're
Yeah.
holding your own, and then you get a ridiculous decision against you, and then
it's-
it kills everything. It kills the momentum.
Especially now with us in the title, it's a 3-horse race. Okay, it hasn't been a 3-horse race in a long time. Okay, it's actually quite exciting. You would want this league to go down to the wire and end in the most fair way possible. And look, it's different. If City ends up winning the title by 4 or 5 points, or Arsenal win the title by 4 or 5 points, there's no argument. It's all good. But say it gets to a point where it's a point, it's a difference of 1 point or goal difference.
I think
We will feel hard done, man.
and back in the day when there was no technology, the leagues weren't this close. I mean, look, very, very rarely would you find like Liverpool City. There's been 1 point between them in 2-3 seasons, right? And this year, like you said, it's three teams and 1 point separating 3 teams with 10 games
There's
to
been
go.
some close Premier League
but
runs, like
look-
the City United one. If you compare the Prem, like 15-20 years back versus now, players are quicker, players are stronger.
Yeah.
The type of football is
Much
also
faster.
a lot quicker,
Yeah.
and it's the tiniest of margins
It is.
that can decide a game.
Yeah.
And technology has come in to help
Yes.
with that,
Yes.
and that's the right move.
Yes.
But it feels like in the last 15 or 20 years, referees haven't evolved.
Exactly. If anything, they've gotten worse now because of VAR.
Of technology,
Yeah.
Look,
They're not,
that was
It
always the
felt like
fear.
they were sharper.
Yeah,
before.
they were linesmen and even refs. They were much smarter and much sharper and better calls back then, man. Now because they have the backup of VAR, they can sit and VAR
But
didn't say
this is
anything.
what it is. If look at the offside rule, they'll know that somebody's offside, but they let play continue. It goes on, and then
Okay,
you
so
see the
that's
referee
because of the
holding on.
next. There's a reason why they.
Yeah, but my point is, if they can let the play go on, then and waste time, let somebody
And pull it back.
Yeah, pull it back. They can
Why
do the
not
same
pull it
thing.
back for something?
They can
a
do-
mistake. Yeah.
Exactly my point. So the timing is still the same, and we're seeing extra time, 10 minutes and
Yeah.
11 minutes. And
Yeah.
first, to see 3 minutes of added time used to be like, wow. 3
Now
minutes.
there's 7 or 8
Now that's
minimum.
7 or 8 minutes
Yeah.
when you know exactly what's going to happen. This is what I'm saying. If the game has evolved, and it's not like VAR came out last year. It's been now 4 or 5 years in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So they need to take it to that final thing and say, okay, this is maybe 99.9% foolproof, and that subjectivity has to go.
It'll never go 100% like you said because it's subjective.
It won't, but there has to be clarity. See, the incidents on a lot of things VAR has done really well. On the incidents, mistaken identity and so on and so forth. That rarely happens.
Goal
That's
line,
good.
goal line technology.
Goal
all
line
that's
technology
helped.
is
Yeah,
okay.
100%.
It's only the handballs and the fouls that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And even there's some that are really, really bad. But because it's not a seriously missed incident or something like that, they don't like if it's a yellow. You've never seen referee pull back play and say, "Oh yeah, you deserved a yellow here.
Yeah.
I should give you a yellow." What if that should have been a yellow, and then there's another subsequent foul to cause another yellow?
And then
That's
he's got
also
a
an
red.
incident. Yeah, that's also a red. Because this is why you find managers saying that he deserved a yellow there, and now that he's got a second one, he deserves a red. But you just see that because that's not an how do I put it? What do
Clear
they
and
call-
obvious.
clear and obvious thing. So they don't do that.
Yeah.
But it has a massive impact on the game, right?
It does. It does.
If the guy was supposed to get a yellow and didn't get a yellow, then he can play rough or he can do whatever
changes
he
the game.
wants.
But this is what I'm saying. If technology is there and if they can go back and review an incident, say maybe 2 minutes or 3 minutes, they can obviously tell the ref, hey, okay, he fouled, play went on, whatever. You need to give this guy yellow. How long does it take?
Exactly. So like if you watch like rugby, for example, the play will go on, and then the TMO will tell the ref, look, this is what happened. We recommend that you give him a yellow card.
And they pull the game back.
And then like they don't pull the game
When
back.
the game stops, he
when the
give him a yellow.
game stops, he says, there,
Yeah.
what you did,
Yeah. Was a yellow.
Agreed. That's on the yellows.
Yeah.
It should be like that.
Look,
Because
to be fair, even in football, when there's like say there's a foul during a counter attack, the ref doesn't stop the counter.
but the ref
but that the
acknowledges
ref
it.
he
acknowledges it.
does acknowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
acknowledges
the ref
it, so
misses
yeah. Oh,
it,
yeah, if
we're
the
talking
ref
about if
misses
the
it.
ref
Yeah,
misses
yeah,
it,
fair
VAR
enough.
doesn't intervene and say,
Yeah.
okay, listen, this is what this guy did
Yeah,
then.
fair
Give
enough.
him a yellow
Yeah.
card.
They're not helping.
They're
the
not
refs.
helping because the next incident he might get a yellow and the opposition team or the manager is thinking he got a
Yeah.
yellow there, he should have had a yellow here,
Yeah.
and he's off. That's
Yeah. So I
It
think
changes your game. Like
Yeah.
think
It
of
does.
players like Casemiro, Fabinho, Kante. Their game is about
Breaking, yeah.
stopping
Right.
play, right?
Yeah.
If they get a yellow early on,
in the fifth,
their game changes
Yeah.
massively,
Yeah.
and that's an advantage to the other team.
see, I sort of understand why they don't do it on all incidences because they feel that it'll prolong the game for every single decision to go back and forth. So you're going to see a lot of added time and so on because they'll have to scrutinize each and every foul to see if it's yellow and so on.
No,
and so
but do the
But-
mistakes.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the advantage that VR has, and they don't have to stop play. They just
Yeah.
have to say on this. It can even be
Bring it
3
back.
minutes or 4 minutes later.
No,
They don't
but
have-
then basically you're taking away from the value a referee has in the game. So this is what they said about going back to re-refereeing a game. So when the referee missed a certain foul, it was probably a yellow. He missed it because he was looking the other way or he was running during a counter attack. That is probably part of the game. We're humans. We're not robots. So they say some things are allowed.
But then they don't do that same thing on a red card. So if the ref is not looking and somebody
Yeah,
elbows
but then
you, they come
they
back
would bring
for
it back
They
for
bring
red,
it.
yeah.
So it's like I said, it's subjective. It's because it's the first foul, they won't do it. But if they feel that okay, it's a red, they'll do it.
I think it's like the referee. They're trying to give as much power to the referees as possible, but in that process, I think they're holding back the progress of refereeing. I don't know if it's only in the Premier League. When you look at, I think La Liga has even worse decisions. Some of the decisions in La Liga are horrible, dude. Like some of them are really bad. But I think what we said, the game has evolved so much. Coaches have evolved, players have evolved, but refereeing for some reason hasn't. It's still very primitive. Like they don't want to use technology to improve themselves. They choose to still give power to the referee. Let him make the final decision. I agree, okay, but help him. Help him.
I was reading somewhere that in a game, roughly on average, a ref or the team, the officiating team makes 130 decisions
In a Premier League.
in a game,
Okay.
which is a lot.
Yeah.
And it feels like taking away some of those decisions doesn't.
It only helps them.
It only helps them because I don't think the ref is there. The ref also kind of controls the tempo of the game to an extent. If he allows soft fouls or quick fouls, it changes the flow of the game as well.
Yeah.
You know, and then fine on certain tackles and all these kind of things. There's some subjectivity, but the ref is still very important, regardless of whether you give him take away less, take away more
of his
what
responsibilities.
it basically leaves him with
To be
less
more
to do,
effective.
less to
in
do.
the
But
big
when he
decisions.
makes a
Yeah.
decision, it's
He gets it right.
It's right.
Yeah.
So he has, instead of 130 decisions, he's got 20 decisions, and
They're all right.
all 20 of those are that's a
Yeah.
pen, that's not a pen, that's a red, that's not a red.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
whether the ref gives a yellow or not doesn't that's not an important decision for a ref. But if technology helps with that, then It feels
let him
like
make the big calls. Let him make the big calls right. Yeah.
right. Like he's a key
Yeah.
person in the game. He's
Yeah.
there for the big calls. Like
Yeah.
the small calls can go missed, and technology should help.
Help him with that. Yeah, but this is exactly it. So, look, I think in conclusion we can say we all agree VAR is good for the game. It's improved the game, no doubt. It's made it better for everyone, players, coaches, everyone. But there's still a lot of improvement needed on the refereeing side, and I think the gap between technology and the referees is still a bit too much. They need to bring it into a bit more of a synergy. They need to use it to help, like you said, help the game and help the referees make the right calls, because it's just there's too much at stake these days, man. Like, we're losing leagues. Liverpool lost the league to City 3 times, once by 1 point and twice by 2 points or something like that.
So we were equal on points, if I'm not wrong, and we lost
we
it
were
on
never
goal
equal.
difference.
No.
Oh, we
It
lost
was always
it.
one.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we lost it at 1
1
point.
point. So, but those are the margins you're talking about. That's the level. And think of it this way: these are I mean, that Liverpool team must have been playing 110% throughout the season. The players are playing non-stop, training 5 days a week, and then you get such calls, and a referee's decision, makes you lose the title. So there's a lot at stake.
Rodri handball versus Everton.
Yes, that one. Clean handball. And there was VAR then.
Yeah.
This is the thing. That was the season we lost the title.
Yep.
Man City, Everton, Rodri, clean handball in the D, brother. How can they not give that a penalty? And you can't say that's subjective.
They're lucky. In Turkey, the presidents come and
Slap the refs.
slap the refs and
No, but
and so on.
brother, this is where
Did you see what Forest did? They've
The
gone.
chairman came down against in the Liverpool game, isn't?
They've now they've appointed
A
Mark
ref.
Clattenburg
Yeah, as an advisor.
as and he speaks about the fuck ups that the refs made. Like, I thought that was smart.
in their dressing room.
No,
Oh,
like
he comes out.
addresses it and he says.
Oh, he comes out
Because,
as a
like,
Nottingham
you
Forest
can't,
star.
like,
He's like a lawyer or something.
yeah, no, like if Klopp comes out and says the referee made a mistake,
He'll get
here,
fined.
he's getting fined. he's getting punished.
So this guy, they
But
put him in.
If a player does it, they're getting punished.
Yeah.
No, why are you going to punish Mark Clattenburg? Like,
Okay, so to be fair enough, that's the smartest thing Forest have done. They spent 300 million. They signed Jesse
The
Lingard.
best signing is Mark
The
Clattenburg.
best signing is Mark Clattenburg. Yeah.
No, but that's true. Put a guy in front now to call them out on their mistakes.
he's
The ref. Yeah.
He's the ref. He's
and
got
he's got the experience for it. He was one of the best at one point.
Yeah, he returned from, is it Qatar or Saudi?
Yeah, and it's somewhere
Somewhere,
there,
Made
somewhere in the
money
Middle
in
East.
Arab money.
So yeah. Anyways, boys, I think so basically this episode was us just discussing VAR and how it's affected us.
ranting.
Yeah. Hopefully, we won't be sitting here talking about VAR at the end of the season. Hopefully, if we do win the title, there's no arguments about it. I hope we don't lose the title by a point, or this is what VAR shouldn't be a topic of discussion. It can be now, but not at the end of the season. Boys, thank you so much for today, and I know the next episode is going to be probably in a month or maybe more than a month. We're all traveling. So yeah, everyone enjoy their holidays and happy Easter, and we'll see you on episode 3.